In this series, we're going to take a look at opening surprises. In the modern age, we have this hyper focus on engine evaluation, and I'd very much like to take a tool from a poker player's arsenal and apply the concept of bluffing. Many of the lines that we're going to have a look at aren't the favorite of the engine, but they do carry surprise value and can put your opponent on their back foot. This series was inspired by 14 books that came out almost a decade ago, Secrets of Opening Surprises. I'll have the link down below for all the videos. I strongly recommend taking a look at those books because they very much still carry surprise value today. Many of the lines that we're going to cover are brand new, fresh analysis, but we are going to borrow some of the ideas from those previous texts. Without further ado, let's dive right in to our first opening line that we're going to cover, and it's going to be from a interesting 4 knights variation with move 4, bishop e2. Now you say, okay, I know bishop c4 is a mistake, I know d4 is good, I know bishop b5 is typically good here, but bishop e2, why would you play this? Surprise value. And as we'll see, there's a good bit more venom to this move than first appear, especially if you're an e5 player and you're comfortable with playing these positions on both sides of the board. I think you're going to be right at home with this variation. So the main moves here, which are almost equal in the database, are d5, bishop c5, and bishop b4. d5 being the main line. So let's first take a look at sideline here with move 4 g6, and typically when we have the opportunity we're going to hit the center in the style of an open Sicilian. And here d6, we have the ability to put a little bit of pressure on this knight, maybe knight d5 in some variations, but bishop g7 was played here, and we have the opportunity to double these pawns, and white gets an advantage right out of the gate here with this nice pawn sacrifice e5, followed by takes, castles long, and after bishop f3, we're following Grishuk, Ivanchuk from 2013. Black got a pawn, but white definitely has the compensation here, and white went on to win. So coming back, let's go over our next variation, which is bishop e7, the copycat. Again, we're going to go d4, takes, and the key element to understand here is if black ever captures us, yes, we're capturing back with the queen, but this isn't a never bring your queen out early situation. That statement is incomplete. It's never bring your queen out early if she can be attacked, if the opponent can punish the queen being brought out early. That would be good development for us if this capture in the center happens. And if they neglect it, we're more than happy to capture on c6 like we saw in the previous variation, as there's a deficiency in the pawn structure. So now we've got just a little bit to work with from the symmetrical position, which is typically dry, to bishop f4. Now the main idea is keeping an eye on the c7 pawn so that when we capture, they're going to be forced to capture back with a non-optimal piece. They'd like to have the rook on the open file. So after bishop b4, queen takes, rook takes. Black set up some tactics in the event of bishop takes c7. So the very simple f3, and we encourage black to chomp down on our knight on c3. Yes, it would give us double pawns, but we have the bishop pair in the open position, and we've got the better of it. So now let's come to more of the main event. Let's look at the most theoretical of the moves, bishop b4. The key idea here is knight d5. It's the most complicated and definitely the best. So let's go through the tree of variations here. First to look at is knight takes e4. Well, I like winning the bishop pair, and after knight takes e5, this is already a great position for white, The knights don't coordinate for any sort of tactics we have to worry about, so we can simply castle, and then after knight c4, you can look at both c3 and d3 to start kicking the knights back, and as the position opens up, it favors the bishop pair. So coming back to knight d5, what about knight takes d5? Well, we've got e takes, and this is going to have a similar flavor to the bird variation of the Spanish with knight takes, castle, castle, a3 to hit the bishop. If the bishop goes to c5, we'll continue with b4, picking up more time. A novelty here is c4. We're holding on to our investment pawn, and if they decide to capture en passant, we capture back with the d pawn. We have a fantastic structure with a little bit of extra space and a little bit of an advantage to go along with it. So next up, how about bishop e5? Yeah, bishop c5. This is one of the more difficult variations. You don't want to release the tension by playing a move like knight takes f6. That's just going to give black development out of the gate. So we have this Apanziani style move with c3, and after knight takes e4, d4. Now we're going to have some fun castles. They definitely aren't in a position to, say, play a move like knight e7 as we're just going to go c takes d4. So d takes c3, grabbing this pawn. Black's king is still stuck out in the center, and that's going to lead to some problems. You definitely don't want to take on b2 here, as we'll simply capture back and have a monstrous attack. So knight f6, rook e1. Rooks are meant to go on those open files. Knight takes f6. Nice Zwischenzug here, crippling the pawn structure. Now, let's ensure that that king is stuck in the middle. That's where we're going to get our compensation from. And after d5, rook takes b2. We have a number of different ideas, like swinging the rook over to attack, as well as just keeping an eye on this b7 pawn. It's hard to see how black is going to get out of this bind, where we have, say, bishop g7 is another move to consider here to be annoying to the opponent. Now, last of the bunch here after knight d5 is bishop a5, where we're going to come back to this idea that we had with bishop c5 with c3. If knight takes e4, got this nasty pin, and the bishop is on a5, so it can't help. And I like keeping the tension so there's no h6, followed by d4, where we're going to castle and have nice attacking ideas. We're waiting for the right moment. Like, we're baiting a move like bishop e6 so that we can capture with check and then go d5, forking pieces. Lastly, in the bishop a5 tree, we have d6, where we can get some space, and after knight takes e4, the f2 pawn is hit, but this is where the fun is at. We go queen c2, as knight takes f2 isn't a big threat, as we can remove the defender. So black decides to try to hold on to everything with f5. And on d3, knight f6, grab, grab, a5. Where's your bishop going? Following a game from the Under-18 World Championships from 2017, where white went on to win. So we've covered the most complicated line with move 4, bishop b4. Now, how about bishop c5? Well, bishop c5, we have knight takes e5. Life is already going to be easy. We're going to be snatching the bishop pair early. If they opt to go for bishop takes f2, takes, d4, white's already pushing black pretty much off the board, where we can castle by hand, or, in some lines, even go h4, h5. So coming back after knight takes e5, the more natural knight takes e5, we've got d4, hitting both the knight and bishop. Let's grab, and then this is a key move in memory marker. If you're a pause your video type of person, try to figure out what the best move here is for white and why. Okay? If you're going to pause, that was your opportunity. Now, we would love to play f4, to kick the bishop. But if we do play f4, black is going to play bishop takes c3. So we have the very nice move, knight b5, to take away the option of bishop takes c3, and if knight takes e4, we of course have moves like queen d5, which are hitting both of those minor pieces, so the e-pawn is tactically defended. Now there are a few moves here, say for c6, we've got knight d6, and if a6, we have our f4 idea. Likely best by engine estimation is going this route, but again, I'm a big fan of the activity that we have and our bishop pair. And what's been seen in a previous game in Title Tuesday in 2020 was a takes b5, followed by queen d4, and after castles, white had a nice game and went on to win. That covers bishop c5. Now on to the most popular move, but as I stated in the introduction, d5, bishop c5, and bishop b4 are all played roughly about the same. d5 is most natural, trying to take the center. Takes. And it should be noted here that bishop e5 is fully playable where we're going into a colors reverse position, if you're into that sort of thing. But castles is likely the better way to go. With knight takes c3, b takes c3, and we'll go down a sideline here. If bishop d6, we have d4, followed by rook b1. Just keeping an eye on b7, utilizing that open file for the rook, making it harder for the c8 bishop to get out. h6, a good practical move to take away bishop g5. Rook e1, getting ready for the action on the open file later. Bishop e4, great move, defending as well as attacking and keeping an eye on that h1 a8 diagonal. Bishop b2, and white just slowly improves the position, and this is following Engel and Vogel from 2020, and white went on to win this one. Great coordination. So we'll come back to the beginning just because I like to repeat these moves so it's easier to follow and see. Knight takes c3, b takes c3, e4, hitting the knight. And knight e1 is playable, but it can be a bit passive, even though I found a game after f3, bishop f5 needs to be played. In Van Forest Geary 2017, f5 was played, and white got a very easy position and won the game, but bishop f5 takes. This line is just balanced. Knight d4, sacrificing the pawn, is the more challenging variation, where we have takes, c3 hitting the queen. And this is not a trivial position where black can just place the queen anywhere. For instance, queen e5, we have d4, and then f3. Multiple threats here. Check. And bishop d2. As the king is stuck in the center, it's a good question. What is the evaluation here? Black has the better pawn structure and extra pawn, but with that king stuck in the center, what do you think? This is currently close to +3 due to the activity. Go after the king. Getting close to the end of the tree of variations, so we'll come back one more time where we have our bishop e2 from the 4 knights. Takes, e4, knight d4, and after takes, c3. Very much like d3, where we offer this pawn. We have rook e1. Can't take the bishop, so bishop e6, bishop f3. Trying to keep this king in the center. Just tactics everywhere in this variation. Bishop e3. That's the key, is we get our compensation in activity and you have to keep up the attack. And this is following Schill, Smith, Vancouver 2015. white went on to win this one. And if d3 immediately, bishop d6, de, queen takes. This is a very balanced position from Reykjavik, 1985, Vanderbilt and Yusupov, and white went on to win this very balanced position. Good example game. And white was the author of the SOS series and highlighted this bishop e2 move initially, which drew my attention to it. And it just goes to show you, some things don't go out of style even 10 years later. Modern engines, check out, likes the variation. Maybe you'll like it too. If you like this video, like and subscribe. And if you have a particular variation you're interested in me covering, let me know down in the comments. Thanks for joining in.